Evening. We had today no meeting in the metropolitan area. We had the meeting, of course, out at Hawkesbury. They call it the stand-alone meeting at Hawkesbury today. There was a good roll-up. It was a little bit, it wasn't freezing, of course, but the change of weather so quick makes it feel, of course, that a little bit colder. We had a wind out of the southwest. And of course, next Saturday we have, next Saturday is Rose Hill, but the following Saturday is another standalone meeting, a little bit wider than Hawkesbury. There'll be no meeting in the metropolitan area or the provincials, which Hawkesbury is. If it's a provincial meeting, we'll be way up in the Hunter Valley at Scone. At Scone in a couple of weeks' time for another standalone meeting, as they say. So anyway, we'll get to the Hawkesbury meeting in a moment. During the week, we had a meeting at Kembla Grange on Tuesday. Now, the track was good. The rail was 3 metres out. There was a very strong breeze, a northeasterly, which was against, I suppose, the leaders as they turned for home. There wasn't a leader to win all day. The closest one got was in race 5, wasn't meant to be led. The winner, by the way, well, not by the way, but did sit third fence and got around his heels and only quartered right on the line. And the third horse, which was the margins in that race were only 0.2 by 0.3 of a length, it came from second last down the outside. I suppose they didn't go that hard in front, and possibly the wind by race 5, there were 8 races that day, the wind started to ease a bit, but as I say, no leaders did get home at Kembla on Tuesday. Then we went, of course, there were meetings on a couple of meetings Monday. There was another meeting Tuesday, I think, somewhere. There might have been. I'm a bit dizzy. I'm dizzy with meetings. Of course, Canterbury came along on Wednesday, and the track was a slow 6, and the rail was 3 metres out, and it was very greyhoundish. There wasn't one winner that didn't win that wasn't on the 18 pence on the fence. The first winner sat third fence and got inside the leader and won. The next winner led on the fence. The next winner, race 3, the winner led on the fence. Race 4, the winner sat 3 back on the, or 4 back on the fence, 4 back on the fence. Race 5, the winner led on the fence. Race 6, the winner sat behind the leader on the fence. And don't tell me, in the last race, the winner sat behind the leader on the fence and they ran the Quinella. So it was very greyhoundish at good old Canterbury Park on Wednesday. So when you're doing the form, you have got to adjust. We went to Wyong on Thursday. Well, just very quickly, of course, there was the 2 Wagga, the Wagga Cup Carnivals on Thursday and Friday. The track at Wagga played very fair. The rail was in the normal position on both days, and the track at Wagga on the 2 days played as fair as a track can play. You were able to lead on the fence and win. You were able to come off the fence and off heels and win. You were able to come from well back and come down the outside and win, get middle splits. As I say, the Wagga track played very fair over the 2 days. Wyong on Thursday also, Now, interestingly, there was a light that the track was given out as a heavy 8. The rail was in the normal position, and we saw a 11-2 on chance win the first race by 8.5 lengths, leading on the fence. Had plenty on them. The next winner also, well, it drew barrier 1 in race 2 and led on the fence, and they were all bunched up, had a couple of runners on its outside, but under pressure all the way, but still was able to hang on and win. And the horse that sat out on its outside ran second, actually got headed it when they just turned for home. But one on the fence came again, and beat it by 0.1 of a length. But then all of a sudden, first of all, there was a light breeze which from the southeast, which didn't have any effect. But then all of a sudden, after the first 2 races of Wyong, the track, with not many runners going over it, only 5 runners in the first race and 8 runners in the second race. So we had 13 runners go around in the first 2 races, and then all of a sudden, that was enough to make the fence not the place to be. And after race 2, down the outside was much better than the fence, and that's where all the winners came at Wyong. So you have got to adjust when you are doing the form at Wyong on Thursday. As I say, Wagga was on Friday. There was another meeting out wide somewhere as well. And then we got to today's meeting. Now, the track was given out a dead 4. The rail was in the normal position, and there was a good stiff. We were a bit protected from it in the betting ring, from the good stiff south or westerly wind that was fairly stiff, helping runners, assisting them down the straight. But down the back straight, leaders were running into it, but by the same token, I don't think it had any effect. After the first race was run, well, the runner that ran second in the first race, it was on the fence behind the leader all the way, who gave in very quickly. Networth led in the first race, a 70 to 1 chance, and it didn't hang on that well, but it was, as I say, big odds. It was hard to gauge on the first race, looking at the way the race was run, whether the inside or the outside was better. The favourite, this of course was the meeting where Peter Snowden, who is the trader for Darley, was having his last day for that camp. Now John O'Shea will be taking over the reins, and Peter Snowden and his son going out by themselves. And of course Darley, they ran the trifecta in the first race. They had 9 to 1 chance, a 10 to 1 chance, and the 2 to 1. They returned at $2.70 this favour. I think there's a chance it might have been $3 when they jumped. I'm not too sure. I was at least $2.80 or $2.90. But no, I wasn't. I laid 5,000 to 2,500. That's right, just before they jumped. So they did take the $3. It did start $2.80, but not the $2.70. As I say, Darley got the trifecta. The favourite suit from barrier 9 in a field of 10 was trap 3 wide. Networth, as I said, led on the fence. On its outside, Norma's Betty Boy, another long price run of 50 to 1. Suit was trying to half cart, but he was 3 wide. And then the 2 stablemates, the 2 stablemates were running 4th and 5th in this race, in peril on the fence behind the lead, and on its outside, looking at the favourite, the winner, General Life, who hooked around the favourite's heels after they'd flattened out, and was able to win only by 0.2 of a length from in peril, and the favourite 1 length away beaten only 1 length in 3rd position, and they were by far the best runs. The 4th horse was 2.6 lengths away, Disciple. Now, as I say, watching that first race, you couldn't get a real gauge on whether the fence or the outside was the place to be, but as it turned out, the fence was by far the best place to be at Hawkesbury today, and you'll see that as we go on. Now, in this first race, they said there was 106.7 on the screen. It was pretty close, only about 105, a couple less, maybe 1.5 less, 2 less in the marketplace. Now, race 2, this was won by another Darley horse. They had Peter Snowden had 2 runners in this race. He did Quinella it. He had the favourite, which was the runner that won down in Melbourne at one of the provincial tracks, Philosoptus, and it was $3 into $2.70 at one stage, back out to $3 towards the end of betting. You could even get $3.10, back into $3. It sat on the outside of its stablemate, the stablemate having its first start, Massault, ridden by Christian Reith, and Clever Kera McAvoy was on the Avery. It led Massault, stayed on the fence all the way from barrier 1, on its outside the favourite. They didn't go real hard. Trapped 3 wide outside the 2 leaders was the runner that won on the Kensington track, the little, what do they say? The little racketeer. It was 3 wide outside the leaders, but the winner, having its first start, as I said, it was able to travel very sweetly in the run. When they turned for home, he went for the favourite, McAvoy, on the outside of the winner, but the winner was able to get a break on him and keep on going to win easily by 3 lengths from the favourite, and getting into 3rd hole from well back in the field was Roden Drive, who was well backed from $18 into about $11 at the finish of betting, backed by one of the pros for an absolute shitehouse score. And look, I didn't have time there today to really analyse, which I never do of a Saturday until I look at them tomorrow, but there were a couple of runners in this race, not that they would have won by any means, but there were a couple of runners in this race that I've got, just looking at it from out of the corner of my eye, that should have finished a little bit closer to the winner. But by the same token, the winner, a good win, but most probably did have the best section of the track in its favour. They said there was 108.4 on the screen, fairly close again, maybe about 2.5 less, 106 in the marketplace. Race 3, they said there was 108.3 on the screen for the robots, and in the marketplace 6 less, only about 102. And this was this race was won by a very well backed runner, Harmonic. We put it up 7-2 second pick, 7-2 bar, and it got out to $6. It came in at the finish to start only $5, a 4-to-1 chance, but very hard to get. Now, we'll never know, if you never go, how it would have gone in this race. Rowie, number 1, who was a $12, 11-to-1 chance. Just shortly after the start, I'm not too sure what happens, whether it went sideways or the saddle slipped, I'm not too sure. But all of a sudden, its rider, Ichikawa, the Japanese boy, he came off. I think he was all right. I think he had a harmless fall. He just all of a sudden slid off the back of Rowie, as I say, not very long after they from the start. So that was the end of it. Then flying out of the barrier, of course, was I Own the Lead. Gay owns the lead, of course. Liberty's Choice, ridden by the pumper Cassidy, and it sprung the lids, and it went straight to the lead and led by, after they'd gone 2 furlongs, it led by 5 lengths. Coming down the side of the 800 metre mark, it might have been 6 lengths in front, 7 lengths. After the rider Ichikawa had tumbled off Rowie, it picked itself up. And not that it didn't, it might have stumbled. As I say, I don't know what happened, but it went out after the leader. It never passed it, but it was just behind it coming down the side, without of course, all the weight on its back. And they were, as I say, about 6 or 7 lengths clear of the favourite Cushy Number, taking the field up to the tearaway leader, and on its back was the eventual winner, Harmonic. Now, when they turned for home, Liberty's Choice started to paddle, stayed close to the fence all the way, but there was nothing wrong with the 18 pence. The favourite Cushy Number, and you wouldn't see it in the flux. They said the best flux was only $3.70 Cushy Number. Well, I gave $4 for plenty, and I saw $4 on the rails as well. It went out, got past the tiring Liberty's Choice very quickly, and then all of a sudden, coming off its back was the winner, Harmonic, and it got past it fairly quickly to win by 4.5 lengths. Now, coming from second last position, as I say, but beaten 4.5 lengths, was Casino Dancer, a 20-to-1 chance. Rowie in this race, we'll never know, but Rowie would have been, I'd say, back there with the second horse, but Rowie has got a very, very powerful finish. And it would have been, as I say, we'll never know, but the rider, if he doesn't come off Rowie, well, would it have won this race, or where would it have run? We'll never know. But the winner finished up absolutely trotting in. That's about all you would say there. Race 4, they said there was a fat 110.2. The robots cheered for the robots in the marketplace. I must say it was all right. Good health, everybody. There was about 4 less in the marketplace, 106. And here we saw the Avery Get Home Grand Marshal, ridden by the pumper. He sat in he sat in 8th position on the fence. And when they turned for home, he was looking for a bit of a middle split, but then the pumper switched back to the inside and went straight along the rails to win by 0.3 of a length, beating a very well-backed Pleasurina, $17 into $14, fairly hard to get, by 0.3 of a length. Pleasurina sat in the 1-1 position in 4th hole, and running third was the runner that sat outside the leader, the very, very well-backed Retort Courteous, who was $10 into $6, hard to get, and it was beaten only 0.4 of a length. 0.3 by 0.4. The winner, if it would have had to hook around them, it wouldn't have won, but going back to that section near the rail where it was possibly better to be, finish up getting the money. The runner that led on the fence, the easing second pick in the betting, Black Jag, went from $5 out to $7.50 back into $7. It led on the inside of Retort Courteous. It ran 4th, but beaten 3.2 lengths. Even though the winner did come along the fence, I suppose to make up ground in the staying race, the way the race was run, was a fairly good win. Race 5, they said there was a fat 112.3 on the screen for the robots, only 105, about 7 less in the marketplace. Where's one of the biggest discrepancies? Well, number one, they said the best luck was 850. Well, I saw 950. Without going into it, there was a good 6 to 7% less. Well, here's another one. Of course, the favourite Cosmic Endeavour. One of the first bets I laid in the race was to lose 5,000 at the $4.20. Good old Muggins here, going off the top of the toppest odds again. We just give the. How can anybody not come to the races? Have you got any respect for your section? You've got to come to the track. The best luck, they said, was $3.80. I gave $4.20 for a kicking, and it started only $3.50. It was a funny race, a funny ride, or funny where it was positioned too, Cosmic Endeavour. Anyway, this race, they said, as I said, the percentage, there was about 7% difference. The runner that got the charm run here, Aerobatics, which was well backed, another Darley Snowden train winner, it led on the fence the very well backed the Messina Nymph. How did they back it? They must have backed it with counterfeit. It was $8.50 out to $9 into $6.50 towards the end of betting the Messina Nymph. It led. On its outside was Miss Stella Bell. I owned the lead, but it never led. Tried to. Aerobatics on the outside of Such a Princess. Such a Princess was a 150 to 1 chance. And as I say, the winner sat in the 1-1 position, turned for home, eased off their heels, and was able to hang on and win by a length, coming from about 6th position, just past or just before, about midfield, a little bit closer, was I should say, Plucky Bell, who would have been a fantastic result for the captains, because we put it up the 3 to 1 Avery, or even the 11 to 4 favourite Plucky Bell, about $3.80 and $4.20 the eventual favourite Cosmic Endeavour, and whereas Cosmic Endeavour was sensationally back into at one stage $3.30. It was 13 to 4 to 9 to 4. That's about 7% difference. And then of course Plucky Bell, we put it up the $3.80, 11 to 4, the field favourite, but it got out. They said no. All the grumble and grunters said no. You Captain Cookies, you can have Plucky Bell yourself. We're sick of backing Plucky Bell. It's been favoured as last two starts, and we don't want to be on it. And they were quite right. It went from $3.80 out to $6.50, Plucky Bell, and all the captains were cheering for it. But got beat the length after sitting in about 7th position, as I say. And then the favourite, who finished up running 3rd, Cosmic Endeavour, which everybody thought would lead like it did last start, or would be right up near the lead at least, it settled well back in the field, behind, or might have been a couple of runners behind, if not one runner behind Plucky Bell, but out a bit wider. And it sailed down the outside. The margins were 1 length by 1.1, and the runner that sat outside the leader, Miss Stella Bell, it ran 4th, beaten 1.3. I'd say that most probably Cosmic Endeavour's run in that race was most probably the best run. Race 6, they said there was 104.4 on the screen for the robots. Now this is where it becomes a little bit, what's it called? A little bit kleiner for the captains, because in this marketplace where we were betting the pros plus a good few grumbling grunters who turned up for the standalone meeting, only 98.5 in the marketplace. And here we saw the Avery Lee-Baz. This is a nice horse. It's very tractable. It can lead, sit behind them. It's got a turn of foot, 6 on well, all the attributes you need for a winning combination. We put it up a 6 to 4 on chance, $1.60. Well, have your 6 for 4. And they laid it, did they? So yes, we'll have your 6 for 4, they said. How's this? And they pulled out bucketfuls. They pulled out bucketfuls from their skies, and they laid the 4 to 6 on. They said, yes, we'll have 6 million to 4 million on. And then we made it well, now I'll say, have your 2 for 1. And they said, will you really? And they laid it on. Bookies had to wind the deuce off at one stage. It was into $1.45. Well, take your 9 to 4, but it got back out to the 1 to 2. We'll have your 2 for 1 at the end of betting. It didn't lead like everybody thought it would. The leader in this race finished up running 100 yards last. I'm not too sure whether it bled, pulled up sore, or what the story was, but I'm talking about Malavio, who opened up $8, got out to $11, which you wouldn't see on the flux, and only started $7, a 6 to 1 chance. It led. Sitting second was I Own the Lead, the Great Snowman, and then looking at the pair was the favourite when they got to the turn, and on the inside of it was Keep Cool, and on tailing the Avery was Muro, number one, who was well back, went from $8 out to 13 at one stage, which you wouldn't see, back into about $10, a 9 to 1 chance, it was on the back of the favourite. Where did it run? Oh yes, I see. It ran it ran midfield, but the favourite, when they turned for home, McDonald was sitting very quietly, had plenty of horse underneath him, moved up to the leaders fairly easily. It gave in a stride, Malavio, as I say, but there's obviously something wrong with it because it dropped out, was eased out of the race, beaten 37 lengths at the finish, and he got to the lead. He didn't run away with it by any means, but held on and beat another Darley, Peter Snowden, clever Kieran McAvoy combination, Wistful, who would have been a huge result for the captains. It sucked up midfield on the fence, went in between runners, was only beaten 0.8 of the length. Good run. It ran third in the race. Keep Cool, a 100 to 1 chance, and the runner that sat second ran fourth, the Great Snowman, and it was 25 out to 40. When I say it would have been a good result, Wistful, we put Wistful only up a 10 to 1 chance. What am I talking about? A 9 to 1 chance, $10, and got out to $15 at the end of betting. It was one of the very few runners that was backed. The best backed runners were the favourite, Muro. No more for the favourite. No more for the favourite. It ran, and as I say, it was $13 and $10 at Muro, and Malavio was $11 into $7. Wistful kept on getting out in the market. The favourite too good. Race 7. This was the Guineas, and a Group 3 race for the 3-year-olds. And here we saw a funny situation here, because when the gates open, now this is where we can emphasise how good the 18 pence was, because when the gates opened, there were 2 runners in this race that were not, when I say, I was just about to say a clear last, but they were there by themselves, running last and second last, on the fence. Katie's Cove, not Katie's Cove, KJ's, yes it was Katie's Cove, number 15, missed the kick, and it was last, and then he eased straight across to the fence, and also coming out last, drawing the outside alley, was the eventual winner, Chiquita. Now they ran the Quinella. It was in front of it, turning for home, Katie's Cove. And as I say, on the fence in last position coming down the side and just before the turn was the winner. And when you see the head on, there was a stack of room along the fence. It went to go, he eased off the heels after they just straightened out the second horse, but then switched back to the inside very abruptly. The rider showing a lot of skill, sort of half, he was, side saddle at one stage, switching off their heels. He's a good rider, this kid, Jay Collette. Don't be frightened to put your money on him, I tell you. But the winner, ridden by the boy who'll finish up in Hong Kong, of course, James McDonald. We said that, well, I said it, and everybody else did as well, when he first came over here from New Zealand. He just never left the fence. I suppose there was nowhere other place for him to go, and he just sailed through and finished up beating Katie's Cove, the runner from New Zealand, who had won its last two starts by 1.5 lengths, and after sitting just behind the pace, the Snowden McAvoy Darley combination of Barbed, it sat in about 5th position. It ran third, a bit off the track, beaten 2.8 lengths. But noticeably, first and second were the ones that were last and second last and came right along the fence to win the race. It got trapped wide in the race, Fueza up near the lead. The winner, they didn't forget to back it. Now, just before I tell you the flux on the winner, they said there was 102.8 on the screen for the robots, 4 less in the marketplace, only 98% in the ring. And this winner, we put it up a $6 chance, 5 to 1, got out to plenty of $6.50. At one stage, you couldn't get the $4. It was into $3.80, but then got back out to start about $4.20, if not $4.40 towards the end of betting, but was sensationally backed at one stage. And you were feeling god darn sick if you were a grumbling grunter who was on it when it was settled back in last position on the fence. And the captains who were standing it for absolute shite housefuls were saying, you absolute beauty. But isn't it funny how things can turn around in a race? And that's what happened, as I just said. Where is the difference here? I was 4% difference in the marketplace. Big deal. The screen, the flux, the top fluck is never the top fluck, of course. So that was about that race. We came to that was race Dr. Devon, wasn't it? Yes, that was race 7. Now, we came to the last, and I lost on this race, I must admit. Hurrara, as it turned out, it was only an 1,100 metre race, but which we all knew before the race. We knew a long time. We knew a week ago it was only 1,100. But I must admit, I thought they would go a little bit faster here than they actually did. Ichikawa, the runner that ran second, it led, and on its outside, ridden by Linda Meach, was the eventual winner, Hurrara. And they never went that hard. On the screen, 103.9, and in the marketplace, that was about exactly right, maybe only 1% difference in the marketplace. And as I say, it led the second horse on the fence, Ichikawa. No more for the Avery. And it sat second, it sat on the south side of Rara. They ran the Quinella, didn't really go hard as I thought they would, or there would have been a lot smarter people, which there are. I'm a ding-dong dell. There would have been people who would have said, oh, wait, there's not much pace in this race, and they are the 2 leaders. and that might have been one of the reasons the winner was so well backed. At one stage they killed you for $11 into $9 hard to get, and I didn't go off the 11, but I left the 10 there and paid the penalty into 9, and I went back to 10 for another large plate of it. I said, oh yes, you can have whatever you want, yeah. And I did an absolute shite house full of it, as I say. Now, it sat behind them on the fence lines. The Daly runner had its chance, I suppose, and on its outside, who finished up running 5th in the race in the 1-1 position, was Inside Job from barrier 2. Lines had barrier 1. Interestingly here, emphasising again that the fence was the place to be, Masterhead, the runner now trained by Waller, that's been racing overseas, it settled down in last position on the fence, never went around the runner, and railed all the way, last turning for home, got up on the inside of plenty of runners to get into third hole, beaten 1.2 lengths. The pace in this race was the difference. It got well back. The favourite in the race, Agent, who at one stage, well, we put it up a 7-2 chance out to $5. At one stage, you couldn't get $4. It was $3.80. It was the 11-4 favourite with about 4 or 5 minutes to go. I was $4.60 either or 40 towards the end of betting. It'll only be returned $4 at the best, I would say, if not a little bit less. But I was $4.40, $4.60 just before they jumped. Might have wound the $4.60 off. It got back in between runners, did make up ground, but was beaten. Was never, ever, ever, ever going to win. The winner, even though it only started at $10 or $9, was extremely well backed. Lines after opening up 7-2 got out to $4.60 opening, got out to $6.50 back into $5.50. Fairly hard to get towards the end of betting. They backed a few runners. Pocket Rockets, it was hard to lay. They might have only returned at 8. It was $10 on my board and on the fence when they jumped after opening up only about a $7 or $6.50 chance it got out in the market. But as I say, the pace in this race was the deciding factor. That was the meeting today. Of course, everybody keeps on pulling me aside and they say, you've got to say something about this filthy TAB. You can't get on now with the fixed odds. All the pros, of course, they've got it down pat. When you find a tab where you can get on the fixed odds, I can't understand how they take the fixed odds off the tab, thinking they're never over. They're never over, if not under. But I suppose if you try to get on somewhere, or there's a bit of a rort something somewhere, and you don't want the market to go off on course, and you want to back it there first before you back it on course. I don't know what the situation is, but anyway, they say after you back one winner, of course, the next thing you know, if you're in a tab and they've got those scouts in the TAB now looking to say, oh no, that TAB, there must be someone smart in there. One of the pros has got one of their blokes in there betting with them. No, we've got to get to it. So of course they put their next ticket in and they knock them back to hardly anything. It's not even worth having the bet. So they've got to find another TAB, and the tab until you back another winner in the other tab. They say, oh wait, they've shifted posies on us, ban, no more big bets in that tab. Well, that's the situation. But besides that, what about last week? A chap that gets to the Who's all the time. He does professionally bet on the puppy dogs, the pan lickers, and he said there were some heats of was it the Brisbane Cup last week or somewhere up in Brisbane in Queensland, and he thought there was an absolute moral in during the program. I think he said that the Jolly Green Giant stuck it up an even money chance or a 5-4 on chance, and he said, oh no, this should be a 4. This is a 4's on chance at the best of it. It should be even shorter. It did trot on, so he said, oh well, instead of taking the 4 to 5, which they might let me on for much, I know what I'll do. I'll take some doubles into it. So he tried to pick the eyes out of the rest of the program, and he said, yes, well, I think that'll just about win. That one's got a good chance, this one. 4 or 5 other runners during the night into this short price favourite later on that he thought was over the line, and he did win. And the first double he tried to get on, he saw 800 on this double. It's It's only a $4, $10 or $20 chance to double, and he said, I'll have 800 on that double, 2,600 or 400, whatever the bet is. He said, and Tab come back and they said, no, you can only have $40. You can have 120 to 40, the double. 120 to 40, the double. It's becoming pathetic. I'm telling you now. Good evening.